A tall, thin, middle-aged man approached me at the station, where the parking was very short. In his hands he held a large funeral wreath. "Girl, please take me a ride," he began to ask. "I need it for my wife's funeral, and spent the last money on a wreath. I don't have long to go, only 4 hours." I looked at him. Looks like a homeless man, but neatly dressed. Doesn't smell like alcohol. There was very little time for reflection, and the peasant was almost ready to go down on his knees. "Okay," I decided. "Come in. Sit on a reclining chair." "But if what check?" "Thank you, daughter." The man interrupted me. "Don't be afraid. I won't let you down. If anything, I'll smoke in the vestibule. Where to put the wreath?" "Come to me." I took the sad luggage. "Thank you," he repeated. "Are you married?" "No," I answer. "God forbid that a good husband is caught." "Not like me." "Well, why are you scolding yourself?" "So you are torn to the funeral of your wife, and you are ready to give the last money," I say. "This is the least that I can do. Breaking her life," the man answered. "I will repent before the dead, which I did not do before the living," the man said, lowering his eyes. "What have you done?" I asked. "It's a long story," he answered. "Well, you have to go for 4 hours." "Tell." And then I heard this story. "My name is Ivan Sergeyevich. Now, you see what I have become from a wandering, homeless life, and in my youth I was a tall, healthy guy. And the face is not a freak. After serving the army, he got married, a daughter was born, everything seemed to be going well. But then my army friend called me to his place in Altai. He got a job at a gold mine and found me a job. Without thinking twice, I took my family and went for big money. True, my wife was left without work, since there was no library in the village, and she was a librarian, but my earnings were more than enough, and she brought books for herself from the city. And once I even found a rarity, an old book. I was not particularly interested in this, and my wife often looked into it. In general, this is how life flowed, calmly and measuredly, and then she appeared in the village. This girl's name was very unusual, Tiana. Everything about her was unusual. I have never met such a woman before or since. It seems that she is not a written beauty, but she looks at you with slightly slanted, greenish eyes, and you lose your mind. Quiet life in the village with her arrival ceased. A lot of guys almost got into a fight with each other. "What's up, guys?" Married men looked at Tiana, and women hated her fiercely. The girl just laughed at this, not really noticing anyone. She worked as a nurse, and everyone began to run to the first aid post, inventing various sores in order to exchange a word with her. Once I went in, but the reason was significant. I hurt my hand badly at the mine. She applied cold to me, and when she touched my hand, it was the opposite, as if she had scorched me with fire. I looked into her eyes, and could not look away, as if spellbound. He hugged her, but she did not resist. And then I, like crazy, began to kiss her. Then the girl gently pushed me away. "Not here," she whispered. "Come to me in the evening." And she was escorted out of the office. I could hardly wait for this evening, and rushed to her. And I can say that it was a crazy night. In her arms, I forgot everything. It was pleasure and pain at the same time, like being thrown out of the fire into the cold. It is impossible to convey in words. I only remember that she seemed to have bitten me in the heat of passion, but I did not attach much importance to this. "Do you love me?" she asked. "Yes, very. I can't live without you now," I confessed. "But you have a family," Tiana objected. "I will leave my family for you." That is exactly what I did, causing the first evil to my wife, and justifying myself by saying that I did not marry her for love. Indeed, when I came from the army, I liked the girl, and not embarrassed that she had a fiancé, I began to look after her and, as a result, beat off a good guy. And the case ended with her pregnancy and a forced wedding. At first, I was even pleased, as if I had accomplished some kind of feat. The wife was a pretty, kind, intelligent and affectionate woman. But to love, truly, did not love. I didn't know what it was until I met Diana. And so quickly Diana turned me around that my conscience did not even torment me. I was ready for anything, just to be with her, and left my wife. The first month was like a fairy tale. I idolized Diana, and she answered me with passionate love. The only thing, in a fit of passion, she bit me like a predatory beast. But even these bites were bliss. After violent caresses, I usually fell asleep soundly, and in the morning I got up completely broken. However, in the evening I wanted her even more than before. As a result, I lost weight, turned pale, the blush on my face disappeared, and Tiana, on the contrary, somehow recovered. Her eyes shone brighter, and her lips resembled ripe cherries. She turned into a real beauty, but this beauty sometimes frightened me. It was as if some ancient deity had descended to earth. In the morning, for some reason, she was very lethargic, irritated, and by the evening she perked up, smiled, and prepared an amazing dinner for me, more satisfying. She didn't eat herself, but sat opposite and looked at me somehow strangely. "You eat. Do not pay attention." I already had a bite while I was cooking, she usually said. And when I insisted that I eat, I reluctantly took a small piece, chewing listlessly. "And be sure to put in front of me a large mug of tea with some herbs. Darling, this is for healthy sleep," she said. Another month passed, and somehow on the street I met my wife, whom I had completely forgotten about. Guilty looking to the side, I wanted to pass by, but she spoke. "Vanya, you look bad. Lost a lot of weight." Turned pale. "Are you sick?" "No," I answered. "Everything is fine with me. Forgive me, Paulina, but I will file for divorce. You know yourself that I didn't marry you for love. And now I met the only one without which I cannot live. I won't leave you and your daughter without help. I will pay properly." My wife did not answer, looking at me sadly and thoughtfully. I waved my hand and moved on. Another month has passed. I was getting worse, and Tiana blossomed like a rose. The pallor and thinness disappeared, the eyes shone, the lips seemed to be filled with blood. And I soon had to take a sick leave, since I couldn't even get out of bed. Tiana seemed to feed me well and gave me decoctions to drink, from which I slept soundly until morning, but my strength left like water in sand. One evening she was late at work, and when she returned, she fed me, but forgot to give the decoction. I lay with my eyes closed, but did not sleep. She later lay down next to me, and suddenly I felt a strong bite and cried out in pain, but Tiana, ignoring the cry, continued to sink her teeth into my neck, and did not let her go until I lost consciousness. I woke up in the city hospital and learned incredible things. As it turned out, my wife killed Tiana, and not just killed, but cut off her head. She was arrested, and a trial was soon to take place. I was diagnosed with a large loss of blood, but they could not understand the cause of the bleeding. There were small bite marks on my neck, 2 tiny holes, but no one could even imagine that blood was being sucked out of me. After recovering a bit, I asked to see my wife. She remained calm and showed no remorse for what she had done. I asked only one question: why did you do it? "To save you," Paulina replied. "You'd better kill me," I shouted. "I can't live without her. And you killed Tiana because of your damned jealousy." "It is so." "Vanya, listen." The wife began, but I interrupted her. "Hate you. And I will never forgive. Never." After these words, I turned and left. This was our last conversation. I wasn't in court. Later I found out that the prosecutor asked for 15 years, but they gave the minimum term, given her characteristics and the fervent petition of almost all the women of the village, who were ready to testify for the defense. The wife was sent to prison. Well, I have lost the whole meaning of life. Resigned from work. He could no longer be in the place where Diana had died. Every day I thought about her, remembered her face and smile. and I hated my wife more and more. No doubt that she killed my beloved out of jealousy. I began to dislike even my little daughter, because the poor child looked like Paulina. I took my daughter to my mother, left it there and left aimlessly. He was hired as a handyman, began to apply himself to the bottle, and very soon rolled down the slope. When I was released, my wife took her daughter and tried to find me. But I didn't want to see her. Many years passed, and my daughter sought me out to deliver Paulina's letter. The poor woman wanted to justify herself to me. Here's the letter. Every line of his is etched into my memory. Hello, Vanya. I'm afraid to never see you again. You didn't listen to me, didn't believe me. But please read the letter to the end. This is my last request. I don't evoke reciprocal feelings. And I loved to the very end. That's why I decided on this terrible thing. You didn't get along with an ordinary woman. Essence, cool, and she drank your blood. Remember that old book I bought at the flea market? It contained a description of this woman who appeared in our area 100 years ago, even before the revolution. This book is the diary of an exiled nobleman. In it, he described his meeting with the beautiful Diana, their crazy passion, and his strange illness. As a result, he died from a great loss of blood, and the beauty disappeared. Seeing you completely sick, exhausted on the street, and putting all the facts together, I realized what was happening. The ghoul reappeared in these places and found a new victim. I came in the evening to warn you. I took the diary with me, but when I entered the room, I shuddered with horror. On the bed lay some kind of terrible creature, and not close to human. It dug into your throat and sucked your blood. I screamed. The creature turned and growled in response. His entire mouth was covered in blood. Then the ghoul got up and walked towards me, snapping her sharp teeth like a dog. I looked around, and to my look I saw an axe standing near the stove. Without thinking, I grabbed it and hit the evil spirits. She squealed and tried to grab me with her claws. I hit her again and cut off her head. Black blood gushed from the vile body. It collapsed to the floor, thrashed in agony and fell silent. And then suddenly, before my eyes, the creature turned into a girl. Before me lay the severed head of Tiana. I dropped the axe and rushed to you. You were unconscious. I ran for help. Well, you know the rest. I'm afraid you won't believe the letter either, so I'm enclosing a sheet from an old diary with a description of the one you considered your love. Farewell, Vanechka, and forgive me, although I am not to blame for anything before you. I saved your life. There was also a sheet of paper in the envelope, covered with faded ink. I unfolded it and read a story that fully confirmed the words of my wife. Both the name and appearance and habits coincided. There could be no doubt. Offspring to use as food. And I, a fool, believed and broke the life of myself and Paulina. Caused her so much evil and grief that it was enough for 10. And most importantly, I did not have time to ask for forgiveness. I didn't know what to say either. This story was so terrible and sad. Well, I think she forgave you, I finally said. And that man, once again warmly thanking me, took the wreath and disappeared into the crowd. I had his story spinning in my head for a long time.